Going live has never. I always feel like I be so confused when I get on live, especially on Facebook. Um, feel like I'm way more comfortable going live on YouTube, but this is exactly why we are doing this and getting on here early, um, so that I can just see what's happening. So please just be patient with me as I make sure that this is live. Now I saw myself. Where did I go? Lives. Okay, I think this is right. So we're just gonna, we're gonna keep going here, okay? Until it seems like I'm not doing something right, but maybe I am. So, okay, first thing I want to do, I need a little Palo Santo Facebook Live is, well, going live for me in general is, uh, it is a um, challenge. And just in the sense of, I do public speaking, I teach, but there are some things that, you know, I still get nervous about because I want to do a good job. Um, and this technology piece, I love it. And also, it can be a lot. So let's just get a little good vibes going up in here. Okay, so clearly, this event is about releasing and clearing. So just coming on to make sure that my energy is right. And as I mentioned, going live is can be tough for me. So Palo Santo definitely helps. Um, if you're watching, say hello. It's good to have you here, whoever you are, regardless of the energy. We are clearing it. Okay. Okay. Well, we did that. I keep that burning to the side to make sure we got good vibes going and flowing. Um, yeah. So let me open my water here. Hi, Casey. Thank you for being here. Okay. I love Palo Santo. Okay, stay focused. So, all right. So, the topic today is attracting soul folks. And one of the reasons that this topic or practice or acknowledgement is super important. One, there are quite a few planetary transits. What's my hair doing? There are quite a few planetary transits that are happening right now that I think are really good for, bringing in new energy related to relationships. So one is the Venus retrograde in Capricorn, and then there's a Mercury retrograde that's coming up and happening. Also, Jupiter, a little bit of Jupiter in Pisces too. And I believe that transit has ended, but I feel really connected to the energy of Jupiter, and I have a Jupiter playlist that kind of helps with centering that type of energy. And Jupiter is a planet that is related to the symbolism around expansiveness. So Jupiter with expansiveness, Mercury related to communication, and then Venus, is related to love, abundance, relationships. And so with those three things kind of intermingling, that's the reason why I say, that this energy right now is actually really good for, acknowledging the heart, but then also like calling in new energy for friendships. So, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sequoya, and I use she and her pronouns. And I am a social worker, therapist, whatever, title feels comfortable for you. I'm a yoga practitioner, and I also do some consulting work. And like I mentioned, today's kind of event or offering is related to attracting soul folks. So, friendships. And some of the kind of language that I used, on the flyer, I just want to center that. Um, the pandemic has been really hard and definitely just highlighted, places where we have been in relationship with folks, and really identifying like what our needs and desires are, but then also the pandemic has been a traumatic event, occurrence, thing that is still happening. And we are all actively, going through that trauma. And so it's brought up, a lot of things, again, just related to needs and desires, but then also just shifts in who we are and our personalities and, where we are in our growth and development. And so, you know, there have been just places where we've been able to continue to connect and support folks. And then there are places where, we've had to let go and release these relationships. And so that's the intersection where we find ourselves. And yeah, I want to start off by setting an intention for an open heart. So we did a little bit of a smoke ritual with Palo Santo to kind of open some things up. Wherever you are, if you want to set an intention for yourself related to your heart, however that feels comfortable, I offer that you do that. If you want to say anything related to an intention around the open heart in the chat, like please feel free. This is, your kind of offering as well, meaning that I'm here to definitely support and share. And so, please feel free to do that as you feel comfortable. But I just appreciate you for being here with me. And let's see. So my intention for an open heart is, just acknowledging that there have been relationships for myself, right, that have um, grown and developed during the pandemic. But then there are also relationships that, I've had to release personally. And with having an open heart, I want to set the intention that, I acknowledge those places where my responses related to, what I was experiencing may not have aligned, and also want to offer forgiveness to myself to the places in these relationships where I accepted less, than what I was offering. And so if that aligns, for you as well, you can definitely join me in that intention, but please feel free to, set your own kind of heart chakra intention. I'm going to cut this light down a little bit. I don't like that glare. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Um, okay, so we set our little heart chakra intention, and the heart chakra is associated with the color green. And so I thought that it would be really cool to do a color meditation, pink as well. So pink and green are associated with the heart chakra. So I thought it would be cool if we did a little color meditation before we kind of get into like the meat and potatoes, if you will, of our little chat. And we're going to start off. You want to either be in a seated position or just, a position that's comfortable for you, one where you are able to breathe a little bit, maybe close your eyes if that feels comfortable. But you just want to be in a place where you are able to be open and receive, right? Following that intention to open our heart. We want to practice that with this meditation as well. So sit bones kind of flat wherever you are. You can have your hands open. Um, the other thing that I want to ask, Casey, if you are still in the chat and watching, if you could tell me how my sound is. And I'm sorry for kind of breaking the stride with the meditation, but I just want to make sure that I don't sound like a robot because I got some new headphones, and I just hope that I don't have like that distorted robot sound. So if I do, please let me know. If I don't, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so color meditation. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so getting back into the stride of the meditation. And again, I'm sorry for breaking that up, but I just want to make sure folks can hear me. Um, Sit bones flat, comfortable, hands open or closed, wherever feels comfortable, eyes open or closed, whatever feels comfortable for you. And we are going to start with a little color meditation, like I mentioned. And I'm going to guide you through just some very simple visualization of colors, and we'll go through the chakras. Okay. So we'll start with the root chakra, and I interchange. The root is usually associated with red, but red can be activating for some people during a visualization. So if red is not an activating color for you and you're cool with red, like please definitely roll with that. But if red is a hard color for you to like visualize, pink, you can definitely do pink. So we'll start off with pink bubbles. You want to breathe in and breathe out pink bubbles. We're visualizing pink bubbles, and we'll breathe in and out for that. We're breathing at our own pace here. visualizing pink bubbles and breathing those in and releasing those pink bubbles. We'll move up to the Sacral Chakra, which is associated with the color orange. So we'll breathe in orange bubbles at your own pace. Want to breathe in orange bubbles and then release orange bubbles. Okay. You're breathing at your own pace here, breathing in orange bubbles and releasing orange bubbles for the Sacral Chakra. We'll go to the Solar Plexus, and that chakra is associated with the color yellow. So we'll breathe in yellow bubbles and then release yellow bubbles. Breathing in yellow bubbles here at your own pace. Okay, and when we're ready, we'll move up to the heart. Heart chakra is associated with green, so we'll breathe in green and then release green bubbles. Breathing at your own pace. You want to breathe in green and release, breathing out green bubbles. We'll go to the throat. The throat chakra is associated with the color blue. At your own pace, you want to breathe in blue bubbles and then release blue bubbles. Breathing in blue and releasing blue bubbles. Okay. When you're ready, we'll go to the third eye chakra. I associate the third eye chakra with like a lavender, really light colored purple. So we'll breathe in lavender bubbles. Breathe out lavender bubbles here at your own pace. Breathing in lavender. When you're ready, we'll move to the crown. And the crown for me is associated with like a heavy purple, like an eggplant purple. So a really deep, like an aubergine kind of purple. So we will breathe in eggplant purple and breathe out purple. Breathing at your own pace. Breathing in purple bubbles and releasing purple bubbles. I want to take a few breaths here, just regular breaths in and out. Okay, and whenever you're ready, come back to the space, open your eyes, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Thank you for participating in that color meditation. I love just visualizations and bringing in colors. It usually kind of resonates to help with grounding, kind of breaking up some of that energy. So, all right, we will get right into things, okay? So, I have things kind of broken up into 3 sections. And so for each section, we will have a little bit of conversation, and then I have some journal prompts, and then some affirmations for each section, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, so definitely got to start off with a story time. Actually, before I do that, I want to do a land acknowledgement. Right now, I am in Chicago, and just want to acknowledge the land that I currently live on, and visiting. And then I want to acknowledge the land of Denver, Colorado, and I also want to acknowledge the land of Anchorage, Alaska, and the Dena'ina people of that area in Denver. If I remember correctly, the area that I was in, no, I don't want to misquote that. I just want to do a land acknowledgement for Chicago, Denver, and Anchorage. So that's what we'll do. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the story time. So um yeah, I one of the other things that I mentioned in the flyer was just that, I have clients that I support, related to kind of transitioning, in their own friendships, and definitely wanted to come on. I feel like I don't like the word professional, but as a business owner, as a professional, whatever that kind of means, I feel like folks think that, you know, we don't experience, especially therapists, that we don't experience, the same things that other people are navigating. And so I say that to say, I have friends, and I have folks in my life that have been in my life for years. And then, I have definitely navigated through ending friendships and needing to end friendships related to a lot of different things. But um, one of the kind of areas of story time that I wanted to highlight is, there are healthy and unhealthy friendship breakups. And breakups are hard. They can be as heartbreaking and detrimental and destructive, as like an intimate partner breakup. And I want to normalize, you know, acknowledging that our friendships are over, again, for whatever reason, however it ended, healthy or unhealthy, or, whether or not, the kind of ending of the relationship is based on, y'all growing apart, or if the ending of the relationship is around, again, like something destructive or abusive. Hi, Kristen. And so, yeah, so getting back into the story time. So I have friends from elementary school and from high school, and those friendships are very like special and just really important in a different way, because these are folks that have seen me, kind of grow and evolve, and we've been able to grow and evolve with each other. One of the hard things that I have navigated with some relationships is that, folks meet you at different places in your life and feel like, because they know you related to a current place that you're in, that that's all to you, right? As if you don't have any history or any life or, any relationships before you kind of interacted with folks, right? But that's not realistic. And so I okay, story time. I guess it's hard for me to go into this. I I have an old friend, from like my elementary, high school kind of era, that we aren't friends anymore. And that that was very hurtful, that we weren't able to continue our relationship, but it was a very healthy um, ending to the relationship. Even though it hurt, we were able to have a final conversation with each other. She said the things that she needed to say to me. I said the things that I needed to say to her. And, we agreed to, I don't want to say disagree. We just agreed that we were in different places, and it didn't feel like we were able to move forward with being able to support each other. So, we took a step back. And like I said, it was hurtful, but it was necessary. More recently, I've experienced friendships, where the endings have been unhealthy. And that can look a lot of different ways for, folks. Unhealthy can mean there was an argument, my experience, um, kind of goes in and out of a lot of that just unhealthy, destructive, um, kind of dynamic. And just like with the healthy ending, that was also hurtful, but it happens, and I'm not immune to those experiences, just like anyone else, and so just being able to identify the things for what they are is super important. And if you feel called to share in the chat, if you want to think about like your most recent friendships, or something that has maybe come to an end, whether it was unhealthy or healthy, you can kind of type in the chat box, had a recent unhealthy ending or had a recent healthy ending, you know. Um, but I share those things to just say again that when you're able to show up the way that you want to, practice the communication, and also just value skills that align with yourself. Of course, that's always helpful. That's always grounding, but sometimes you're not able to. Sometimes you have to protect yourself the best way that you know how. Friendship breakups can be hard because we have invested, right, a lot of the time in these relationships. And that's one of the main reasons why, when you have a friendship breakup, they're heartbreaking, because you have invested not only your love and your time, but then usually also resources. You have shared, just really intimate moments with folks. You have acknowledged that these individuals or this person is someone that you are, spending another level of time with, you know? And so when that doesn't work out, or when you're not able to um, resolve, maybe that's the right word, when you're not able to resolve something with someone that you have spent so much time with, that's hard. That can be super challenging. Um, and so, yeah, that kind of gets us into our first topic about acknowledging and identifying our feelings around not being in relationship with individuals anymore. Um, and I'm gonna read your comment, but I won't identify you necessarily in the live. Okay. Had an ending recently that wasn't healthy because the person wasn't able to acknowledge their contribution to harm. We all cause harm, but ignoring and avoiding that acknowledgement can feel painful. Yeah, it is, really hard when the way that you would like to show up with the other person is not reciprocal. Um, that really resonates with me, especially when you have certain boundaries, right? So one of the things that one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this talk and kind of start this series is sometimes we forget that even in friendships can be abusive, and meaning that those dynamics can be very present, even in a friendship. People can be controlling, in friendships. People can be possessive in friendships. People cannot have the ability to take accountability, for their actions, and that can be harmful. And so, being able to navigate through that and identifying those things, but then also not internalizing. Yes, not internalizing those things is also important too. Thank you for, that comment. And yeah, I hope that the intention for opening your heart was helpful. And I'm sorry, that you navigated that recently. Um, okay. So we talked about friendship breakups being hard and that it's okay to acknowledge that, right? It is perfectly okay to acknowledge that you're hurt by an ending. Um, because these, like I said, these relationships are important, and that investment means something, you know. It means that, again, we have, and then again, investment can mean a lot of different things, right? And I believe I've kind of said that already. Investment isn't necessarily like financial or monetarily or anything like that. It's just this is someone that you feel like, okay, I want to spend more time with this person, or, I'm off work right now, but I would love to like text and like chat, or like send funny memes too, or something like that. To me, that's an investment, because I don't do that with everyone. So when those things kind of break down, it can be tough. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the other thing is a shift in your investment related to a friendship. So this is kind of around like the healthy side of relationships ending. If you grow apart from a friend, if you are kind of navigating some things, or you have some new interests that might be taking you in a different direction than, what originally kind of bonded the two of you all. Growing apart is natural, right? And so being able to acknowledge, you know, there hasn't been anything destructive that's happened per se. It's just my time is different. The way that I want to invest in friendships is different. And I've assessed that I can't do that with this person. Or, I have these other interests that are really important to me. And maybe this person, those interests may not resonate or align with them. And so you know that at some point it may cause a conflict or a rift. And so really thinking through what that growing apart looks like and normalizing that it is okay to shift your investment in a friendship. Okay. The other thing that can happen too that impacts your decision or that might cause a shift in your ability to invest in a friend is depression or trauma. Um, a little short baby story time. I went through, just some really hard kind of trauma with an ex-partner, and I had a really good friend that I love so much, and she was not able to really support me during that time, and that was okay. Um, but that definitely, and I think that that ties into growing apart too. That trauma interrupted a lot of relationships, and for safety and protection, but then also emotional safety specifically, separating from that relationship was important and something that I needed to do and a hard decision. And so not being able to, really be supported in those situations, that just aligned with a shift in the investment. Okay. So I want to offer a journal prompt here. So wherever you are, you want to write this down. I'll offer that, you can journal, but then you can also do like word associations. I love word associations in any kind of setting. They're really quick. You can usually be a little bit more thoughtful, like really fast. So word associations, meaning like whatever, kind of pops into your mind first related to this prompt, like that's what you write down. Okay. Um, And this one I thought was really sweet and builds on the next two sections. So, do you remember the first friend you ever made? Do you remember the first friend you ever made? And so you can journal that, or you can do word associations, like really quick things that come to mind. For me, the first kind of things that came to mind to help with you know maybe jogging the brain about this, maybe the place, like what city you were in, how old you were, what grade, um, yeah, their name, how old they were, if there was anything like culturally different about the two of you all. I just really like that question. I, um, whenever I bring this up in conversations around friendships, to just root us in like that very pure, innocent inner child, and it's also based on like attraction too, right? Like kind of what attracted you to your very first friend, like where did they have a jump rope? Were they reading? Were they sassy? Were they cursing somebody out? Like even as a little kid. So do you remember the first friend you ever had? Okay, so that's the journal prompt. And you can definitely, just use that as a placeholder for yourself. And then I want to give an affirmation, and then we'll go on to the next section. So, first affirmation is I am good enough as I am to be loved as a good friend. Okay, let's say that affirmation one more time. I am good enough as I am to be loved as a good friend. Next affirmation. I am allowed to be selective in choosing friendships that are for my greater good. I am allowed to be selective in choosing friendships that are for my greater good. Okay. Let me know in the chat what y'all think about the journal prompt or the affirmations, if those resonate at all. And then I'll move on to setting an intention for self-awareness. So we started out, setting intentions related to having an open heart, and we acknowledge, the places where we need to continue to further grow and develop ourselves, but then also, acknowledging that we are not accepting anything less than what we give. Okay. So let's do a little bit of checking in on accountability related to ourselves and our trauma responses. So one of the things that's also super important, and I kind of talked about this initially, that even in friendships, there can definitely be like abusive dynamics in those type of friendships, or in friendships in general, right? And so I name things like being possessive or controlling, but that runs like the gamut. Okay. And so when we think about ourselves, though, we want to think about how we might perpetuate or replicate our trauma responses with our friends. Okay. So that could be anything related to our communication style. All right. If we think about, when we get upset or when there seems to be some confusion, are you replicating or perpetuating with one of your friends just unhealthy like communication styles? Okay. That could be like shutting down in the conversation. Um, that could also be, how like when people attempt to control the conversation by saying like, I'm not going to talk about this right now. but it's not in a, I don't have the capacity to talk about this way. It's more of a, I want to try to control the conversation and not be vulnerable. So I'm going to shut it down right now type of way. I hope I explained that clearly. But so that is, just something that people can replicate or perpetuate with other folks, even in friendships. Um, Okay. The other thing that I want to say about accountability here too is checking codependency. So codependency is a big word. It's a buzzword right now. Codependency can mean dynamics like people pleasing, um, being afraid of rejection, having a hard time saying no to someone else. I also, especially with like my younger clients, I don't know about this too much with older clients, but I definitely see this in younger clients related to like almost like the stepping stones to being codependent is FOMO. So fear of missing out, right? So if we check in with our ability to be codependent on other people, and think about why are we in relationship with certain folks, is it a relationship that's reciprocal? I talked about this in a video about performative allyship. Are you in relationship because of the benefits that you feel like that you receive from this particular relationship, right? And then checking again that accountability piece, like checking in with um, being manipulative around that, you know. Um, so that's kind of just what I was thinking related to codependency and then checking in about accountability. The last thing that I want to offer here, and definitely like if I'm saying something that again resonates or you just want to add about, can definitely please feel free to do that in the chat. Because I know I am just kind of navigating through a lot of like big topics. So I can definitely break anything down if y'all need me to. Okay, so last thing about checking in about accountability is navigating the way we enter and start relationships and then the way we end and release them. So this is one that I have worked on with my own therapist. Okay. Being very intentional about the way I enter or start relationships is like so important. I have to be super intentional about that. I am a community oriented person. I I enjoy very much supporting people. I enjoy that. That is something that, I feel like is definitely my purpose. One little um, kind of birth chart thing. Um, I have a North Node, which is like your life purpose placement in your birth chart. My North Node placement is the same as Michelle Obama, and that's a North Node in Cancer. So my life purpose is very aligned with being nurturing, like that's Cancer energy. And so related to how I enter and start relationships, I have to be mindful of being open and willing to support people. And so that has just been, like I said, a place of deep healing, but then also intentionality and introspection that has been really important. Even around like codependency, like I still have to connect that to codependency for sure. Right. And so that piece around self-awareness and really working on these things I hope that y'all can kind of see like those connections and definitely like apply them in your own life. Okay, so we talked about how we enter and start relationships, and then the last one is how we end and release relationships. So this one is hard for me. I'm going to be honest. Um, Especially if it is like an unhealthy kind of situation, I default to protective mode. And, depending on what the energy is and the dynamics are, I am open and willing to release relationships in a healthy way. And I am also open and willing to release relationships in the way that I identify as safe for myself. And so sometimes that does not go over too well for the other person, and that's okay. And that's something that I also explain to my clients. You have to do the best that you can with what you have, but then also how the other person is also showing up. If it's difficult for you to have a reciprocated, open, truthful, accountability-based conversation with someone, like, you have to make the best decision for yourself. Okay. So related to ending and releasing relationships, that is definitely a place to continue to think about, um, your trauma responses, what you may be replicating or perpetuating, but then also be kind to yourself about that. You know your heart, you know your intentions, you know the situation that you're in with people. And so navigating that to the best of your ability is the best that you can do. And then sometimes if you fall short, sometimes if you don't show up the way that you could have or wanted to, there's still place for forgiveness for yourself there too. Okay? All right. Okay, so let's do the journal prompt and the affirmation here. And we have one more section, and then we're going to wrap things up. I thought that I wasn't going to have enough chat and talking points for an hour, but look at that. And I'm so grateful for y'all that were available to just pop in here and be all interactive in the chat. It's my pleasure to have you here. Okay, we got a question. Could we identify trauma responses? Okay, so this one is and I'm very sure you have heard these terms before. So when I say trauma responses, I'm talking about like fawn, fight, flight, and freeze. Okay. So I'll say them again because I know sometimes my accent can be a little heavy with certain words. Um, Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So those are the trauma responses that I'm referring to. And so fight is just that, that could be some type of, fight, a destructive, kind of trauma response. Flight is when you leave the conversation or leave a situation. Freeze is just that, like completely shutting down in the moment. And then fawning is when you agree. It's kind of like people pleasing, but you are verbally agreeing with someone or going along with something that um, you wouldn't necessarily. You feel like you don't have a way to say yes or no to this person. So those are the trauma responses. And then being able to identify that is, just around your patterns. And so what I would recommend about that is, and I think I may have a journal. What's the best memory? Maybe the next section has okay, I'm going to look for some journal prompts around that. But, really thinking through like the last few friendships that have ended, looking at how they ended, And if you can connect a pattern to not only what your experience was with that other person, but then also your response to it. And then do any of those definitions or examples of a trauma response align with any of that? Okay. Okay. So journal prompts for that second section around self-accountability would be, what would you do if you disagree with a friend on a topic? And so again, with the journal prompts, you can like do word associations or like a jot list, just what comes to mind, initially. And I'll read that one more time. What would you do if you disagreed with a friend on a topic? And then, what is the most difficult part about having friends? What is the most difficult part about having friends? Okay. I know just really quickly what kind of popped into my head sometimes is like expectation around timing for me can be timing about following up about things can be hard related to friendships. So you want to think through that, maybe for yourself. An affirmation: I like getting to know new people. Say that one more time. I like getting to know new people. I have healthy boundaries. I have healthy boundaries. And then I am ready to open my heart to true friendship and meaningful connection. I am ready to open my heart to true friendship and meaningful connection. Okay. All right. Moving on to this last part. Now we're going to track some things. Okay. So one of the kind of places that I wanted to check in about related to attracting soul folks is, what are the characteristics or dynamics that we need in friendships, right? Like this is super important, even when we think about like an intimate partner or someone that, we want to build like just that, intimate relationship with. But even in friendships, that's super important. Like, what are the characteristics or dynamics that we need in friendships? And so, as we kind of grow and develop, the dynamics that we need in our friendships shift and change over time. And so, as you are attracting new friendships into your life, you definitely want to think about like, what are some of the dynamics from old friendships that you've released that you don't want to carry over into the next relationship? Or if you see those dynamics, you'll be intentional and mindful about them. But then also thinking about, the positive relationships that you have. What are some of those dynamics that you really appreciate with certain people and would like for those dynamics to be present in other relationships? And then the last part that I think is super important about attraction too is be hopeful, right? And this goes to having that open heart. Be hopeful about being able to connect, because friendship breakups can be hard and can really mimic and resemble like an intimate partner breakup. You can also like be traumatized, from a friendship breakup too. And so that could impact, you know, your willingness or openness to build relationships to other people. But really what that comes back to is you not trusting yourself to discern and be able to maybe see the red flags or speak up for yourself the next time. So really like bringing that back to yourself, trusting yourself, and also forgiving yourself. That's the other piece. Forgiveness, discernment, be hopeful about being able to connect, trust yourself and your own discernment. That's what my notes say. Okay. Yeah, because our affirmations are going to confirm that. All right. And that is super, again, just super, super important for attracting those next connections, right? Like being open to it, being confident, knowing that you have the skills to be able to be in relationship with people, regardless of what those previous experiences are, but also being intentional about, again, accountability and where you need to grow and develop. Okay. The journal prompt for this last section is: what do you value most in a friend? What do you value most in a friend? And then last journal prompt is: what is the best memory you have of you and some friends? So the other thing that is like super important related to your energy, your mindset, your heart around attracting, manifesting, like whatever words you want to use or that resonates, is you want to make sure that when you're thinking about these things, that you're in a good energy, right? That you are grounded and confident and feel good about yourself. And so this journal prompt, I feel like, just helps shift us into that really good energy, and uplifting our vibration. Okay, so what is the best memory you have of you and some friends? Sometimes it's easy for us to get stuck in like our stories, our hard stories that are, yes, very, very real and very, very hard, but also centering some of that energy too on good memories, positive connections. That is what will help bring in new friendships. Okay. So, journal prompt. Okay, we did that. What is the best memory you have of you and some friends? Okay, affirmations. Because I love these affirmations, especially, I love them for all of the sections, but I especially love the affirmations for this section. Okay, so I am attracting kind, warm, and friendly people into my life. I am attracting kind, warm, and friendly people into my life. Last affirmation: I attract the people who like me for me. I attract the people who like me for me. Okay. Well, I feel like that was a lot. What y'all think? Was that a lot? This was fun. I'm so glad the live worked out. I feel like everything kind of streamed okay. Um, what y'all think about the journal prompts, about the topic and the affirmations? Um, the last thing that I want to say, again, just related to this topic is, you know, in addition to and outside of our previous experiences related to friends and friendships, you have the skills to be able to build healthy, loving, nourishing, supportive, grounded, non abusive friendships into your life. You have those skills and abilities, and you deserve that. Okay. And so moving into 2022, that is what we're grounding ourselves in. Okay. That's what we're grounding ourselves in. We have the skills and the abilities. We're deserving of these things. We release those old relationships with love. We release them with love, because love is what will attract what is for our higher self and higher good in 2022. Okay. Yeah, I love word associations. I love them. And it brings out, like, at least for me, and I encourage it for other folks in any kind of space, it brings out like the inner child. Brings out a little bit of play. So yeah, I love word associations. Love it. Okay, so those are my final thoughts and observations. Thank you for your final thoughts and observations in the chat. The only other thing that I want to mention before we in the live is on my YouTube channel on Friday. I'm going to release a video that I am I'm excited to like continue to talk about this. So the video is on, and it's inspired from a spiritual person that I listen to on YouTube. And in the video, I talk about more of it. But it's a video response to her talking about who teaches us to let go. And when I saw her video and then watched what she was talking about related to that, I thought that was so profound to explore more about who teaches us to let go. And so that video kind of centers on intergenerational patterns related to toxic loyalty. Okay. So if you don't follow me or haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, and it's under Red Linen Moon Wellness and Consulting on YouTube. That video is going to premiere on Friday on my YouTube channel. And then I feel like I'm going to do a series around it because it's just been, again, just a really powerful kind of topic for me to explore. So that's going to be released on Friday. And then the last thing that I have, offering that I have this month that's related to this topic around friendship is like a pre-recorded webinar. And that's going to be for sale. I haven't decided how much that's going to be yet. It'll probably be on sale for like $8.88 because I talk a lot about, give a lot of psychoeducation and talk about some personality types. And so that is going to be called What About Your Friends? And that one is more aligned with navigating abusive dynamics in friendships, being able to identify those and then being able to heal from those types of dynamics. Okay, so getting a little bit more into, like I mentioned, the psychoeducation aspect of it. So we'll be talking about like unhealthy, we'll talk about what does an unhealthy friend look like? What does a toxic friend look like? And then what does a narcissistic friend look like? Okay, so that is why that one is why I have a price associated with that one. And so, yeah, those are the two offerings that will be out, throughout this month. On my Facebook, I have an event marker for the release of the What About Your Friends. So if you're interested in that, definitely like click going so that when I release it, you'll be notified, or you can sign up for, my newsletter. I'll be letting folks on my newsletter know about all of those launches, and you can find the information for that on my link tree, really anywhere on my YouTube. Nope, because we on Facebook, but I am talking to YouTube. But you can find that link on my Facebook or on my YouTube. I think that's it, babies. Okay. This was fun. I'm so glad that y'all, the folks that were able to be here with me, to like engage with me. This was good. And I hope that, you are able to take away just some good practices for yourself around this particular topic. And if you are catching the replay, thank you for checking in on the replay. And yeah, I hope to see you at or in another live related to friendships and being able to heal. And then if there's any other places that I can provide support, please definitely let me know. Thank you.